Good evening, friends. Thank you for joining Candid Media every evening to follow what's happening in India and abroad. Thank you for sending me your useful comments and suggestions. If you believe in this channel, do hit the like button, share with the friends, and spread the message. Our only mission is to bring you the truth and both sides of the story. Thank you for your support. Today, we have a very special guest. We have the handsome and dynamic Lalit Ambardar. He's not only an activist, he's also an architect and also an actor. So, actor par excellence. So, welcome, Lalitji.
Namaskar. Thank you. Yes, I'm into building design, management, and coordination, basically. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, we're very proud to have you on our show.
My pleasure. My privilege.
Yeah. So, Lalitji, we'll be discussing things about the movie, the Kashmir Files, and also your own experience as a Kashmiri Pandit, and also how people are reacting in different ways to the movie. Okay, and then we'd also like to talk to you about what you do and the kind of movies that you also do.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So ever since the Kashmir Files, the box office collection crossed 200 crore mark. People have been reacting in very different ways. For example, in Rajasthan, now they have a problem. They're saying that Section 144 is imposed in Kota. The screening of the Kashmir Files, one of the reasons cited in the order, and the order stated that in view of the upcoming festivals, including Good Friday, Yatha Cheti Chand, Mahavir Jayanti, Baisakhi, etc., the administration has imposed Section 144. Now, so different states are reacting in different ways. In fact, some of the kinder states like Karnataka are even asking their officers to, take a half a day and watch the movie, encouraging them to watch it. And many of them have made it tax-free. So I think Vivek Agnihotri has hit a jackpot with this movie, which has been very realistically portrayed. Though I've not watched it, but I've heard the reviews. So what, in your opinion, Lalit, has this become such a huge success? And why has he suddenly garnered so many enemies?
See, the tragedy of India is that Hindu lives never mattered here. In fact, Hindu genocide is the longest ongoing genocide in the world. It began 1,000 years ago with when Sindh was captured by Muhammad bin Qasim under the agenda of Ghazwa Hind. It has been continuing since then. It's not that the invaders, the Islamists, they had enslaved us. They did establish their strongholds across the country in certain spots, but there was always a war of resistance going on from north to south, from east to west.
Yeah.
And but that's not shown in our history books. We have never read that. And some of us, when we realize that we need to do something about it, right? So when I talk about Kashmir, I see Kashmir from the perspective of India, the Hindu civilization, Hindu Sanatan civilization, right? Because I believe it's very important for India to survive. It's very important for Sanatan civilization to survive, not only for us, not only for Hindu, not only for Indian nation, but for the whole humanity. Because no other civilization teaches you sarva dharma sambhava atiti devabhava. We have suffered on these two principles enough.
Yes.
Yeah, we have suffered. In fact, Kashmir wasn't captured through war.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ghaznavi tried to, he invaded Kashmir twice. That time we were 100% Hindu province or a state. But we fought and repulsed the attacks. And he never third time never came into his mind even, because we gave him such a black nose there. But after that, every Friday, I say it, almost every Friday, Jumme ke Jumme, he would come to Somnath and plunder and break the idols there. And so similarly, but then how they captured Kashmir, I'm just giving a slight background so that we are in the perspective.
Absolutely.
So 700 years ago, Kashmir was a 100% state, Hindu state. And I won't go even beyond that, because at that we have Lalita Aditya, whose empire expanded from Caspian Sea to East India, right? So I'm talking about just 700 years ago, because my genocidal history in Kashmir, genocide of Hindus, began 700 years ago, when the due to royal intrigues, the settlers, the Muslim settlers, the Islamist settlers, they took advantage of these intrigues, palace intrigues, and captured power.
Yeah.
And finally, thus began the ordeal for Kashmiri Hindus. So since 700 years, 7 times we had to face genocidal exodus. And every time we returned back, we did not give up on resistance. Those meek amongst us, weak amongst us, they became Muslims. Yeah. But I'm proud of my ancestors that they sacrificed. They did everything to retain my civilizational ethos. So that's how our resistance in Kashmir, I take pride in that. You know, genocide is not mere physical extermination.
Yes.
It's also to kill the will to survive in the survivors. It's also to kill the will to resist in the survivors. We defied all these 700 years. We defied this very aspect of genocide, that we did not let the flame of Kashmir get. We kept the flame of Kashmir alive. We resisted. Karnataka is very important in this resistance, by the way. Bidar, right? Bidar is a very important Sikh pilgrimage center.
Yeah.
And very close by there is Nanded in Maharashtra. During one of such situations, when we felt helpless, right? We were left so less that we needed support from rest of India. So under those geographical conditions, it was very difficult to even reach mainland India. But then, yes, my ancestors, they came to Guru Tegh Bahadur. Guru Tegh Bahadur gave a farman to Aurangzeb. If you can manage to convert Guru Tegh Bahadur, then all Kashmiri Hindus will convert to Islam. And he gave his sheesh for us. So our resistance continues to be inspired by Holy Guru Tegh Bahadur. You know, when this thing was happening, Kriparam, Hindu Kriparam, Pandit Kriparam came from Kashmir, heading the Kashmiri delegation, warriors, to meet Guru Tegh Bahadur. When he explained his situation, the Kashmiri Hindu situation, to Guru Tegh Bahadur, and Guru Tegh Bahadur responds, "Iske liye kisi mahan hasti ko balidan dena padega." A great man will have to sacrifice for this holy cause. And that time we had Guru Gobind Singh, Gobind, a little boy sitting next to the Guru. He says, "Baba, aapse bade mahan kaun ho sakte hain? Who could be great? Who could be more great, greater personality than you?" Yeah. And that's how this thing began. And Guru Tegh Bahadur had to sacrifice himself. And we are indebted to holy gurus. And this this Jatha did not return back. Kriparam became Kripa Singh, and then later on he became a Khalsa and remained in the company of Guru Gobind Singh. And Guru Gobind Singh, just for your listeners, he had got injured in one of the battles when he had grown up. He had established Khalsa Panth, and he was traveling between Bidar and Nanded. And during one of his visits to Bidar, he found a guy there. He had just given up the world. He wanted to become a bhikshu, sannyasi. And Guru Gobind Singh asked him, "Who are you?" He says, I'm Lakshman Das from Rajouri district in Rajouri in Jammu. He said, "Why are you here?" He said, "I want to become a sannyasi." He said, "Damn, Dharma is in danger. You want to become a sannyasi? Go back and fight." Oh God. So this sannyasi, Lakshman Das, becomes Baba Banda Bahadur Singh. He turns back and fights for Dharma. And this is how I say Bidar is very well connected to our resistance against Islamism, especially in North India. If there is a semblance of Hinduness existing in North India, is only because of the holy Guru's sacrifices. and they inspired this resistance in the north. So this is the perspective, and I believe Kashmir Jihad is part of the same Islamist arc in the contemporary sense
Yeah.
that arises from Middle East, traverses Afghanistan, Pakistan. Kashmir is the Himalayan end of it. It's part of the same Ghazwa-e-Hind crusade that began 1,000 years ago, which achieved huge success in 1947 when Pakistan was created out of Pakistan, out of India. And we know how the Pakistanis came into existence. They were Indians, right, till 1947. In fact,
Yeah.
to be precise, till 14th of August 1947, they were Indians. So what happens on 14th of August 1947? India-born millions betrayed their motherland in the name of Islam, in the name of Jinnah's two-nation theory, which was what? It was about supremacy, exclusivity, and incompatibility of Islam. So Pakistan was created, right, by these very Indians, right? And Kashmir is the next agenda on that. Same Ghazwa-e-Hind, because they thought it was a hanging fruit. By virtue of Article 370 and 35A, that was accorded by Nehru in Congress to appease the original Islamists of Kashmir, that is Abdullahs. So by virtue of this 370 and 35A, you had a little Pakistan, Islamist ecosystem called Pakistan flourishing on the soil of India for these 70 years because of 370 and 35A. That's when, in the contemporary sense, when we thought India got independence 15th of August, we, like rest of Indians, we can talk about it some other day. I say a quote unquote independence. We got a Kata Fatah Hindustan on 15th of August, right? So we thought we'll get freedom. But what happens? On the one hand, Nehru in Congress appeases, in fact, succumbs to Jinnah's direct action that was announced in 1946, 16th of August 1946, when this National Guards, the Razakars of Muslim League, were unleashed in Bengal, and you had Hindu dead bodies being eaten by animals and birds for weeks together. And Indian National Congress capitulated, succumbed, surrendered, accepted partition, and Jinnah got Pakistan. Can you imagine a country apart? Two flanges of India were cut off, 2,000 plus kilometers apart. And it was happening for the first time in the world. A country was being created out of a nation in the name of Islam. And it was because we succumbed. And I believe if we had not accepted a partition, civil war would have taken place. I'm sure there were many Sanatani Muslims who would have been on my part, on my side. So we succumbed to Jinnah's blackmail. And what we do next? We abandoned 25% Hindu and Sikhs, and both when it was East Pakistan and West Pakistan in Pakistan. And today in Bangladesh, which used to be East Pakistan, we are left with about 8 to 10% Hindus there. And in Pakistan, which used to be West Pakistan, it's reduced to 1.5%. And every day you hear a minor girl, a Hindu girl, is abducted. A following day, she's produced in front of TV cameras in a burqa and hijab and said that she has adopted Islam voluntarily. They can't be better example, the worst example of genocide than this is. And since Hindu lives do not matter in India, which happens to be the only homeland for Hindus anywhere in the world, they do not matter under secular dispensation, secular polity in India. So what does Nehru do in 50s? Those Hindus and Sikhs who could not make it to mainland, we abandoned them. We abandoned the mercy of Pakistani jihadis, knowing well that the Hindu and Sikh women were made to dance on dhol, Punjabi dhol beat naked in the streets of Lahore. Despite that, Nehruji goes and signs an accord with Liaquat Ali Khan, the then Prime Minister of Pakistan, which is called Nehru-Liaquat Ali Pact. It's a relevance with Kashmir. That's why I'm just giving a brief background. It will be very interesting for people to know. So Nehru-Liaquat Ali Pact is signed, which meant that you take care of your minorities and we take care of our minorities. And our minorities continue to flourish in India. Muslims in India can achieve any position in government anywhere, right? They can speak anything on the television. They can even mock Hindus genocide in Kashmir. They can do anything. They can deny anything. So that's the position. That's the kind of power they wield in Indian state. But those who we abandoned, they are diminishing day by day, and Nehru and Congress never questioned about the genocidal persecution of Hindus and Sikhs there. Even now, we never do. We in this Narendra Modi's government, they brought in that CAA, and you heard that Shaheen Bagh resistance against CAA, which was what, to grant right to life and dignity to those poor Hindus and Sikhs who were just left in Pakistan. And these very Muslims, they stood against that. Can you imagine? Tera mera rishta kya, la ilaha illallah. And it was the same Jinnah's slogan of 1947. And at the same time, what Nehru and Congress does, they accord 370 and 370 in Kashmir, again abandoning Hindus to the mercy of Abdullahs, the Islamists on the soil of India. So and genocide is not mere physical extermination. Genocide is also, it begins with identifying the targeted community. Then it begins with, then you start depriving the targeted community of rights and privileges. You demonize the community. Sheikh Muhammad Abdullah writes in his biography that the Kashmiri Hindus are secret agents of Delhi. That means they're fifth columnists, right? And in one sentence, he makes two statements that India is an enemy state because fifth columnist is from an enemy state, right? So India is an enemy state, and Hindus are the agents of enemy or India, so the enemy state. So nobody questioned that. Khushwant Singh, the scholar of Urdu and English, right? So-called secular mind of India, right? What he does, he translates that. He has a abridged translation of Sheikh Abdullah's biography. He doesn't mention this in his version, but this is available in the version, English version, by a local Kashmiri professor done there. But I have never heard Khushwant Singh even talk. He must have read the whole biography. That's why he translated it. Never questioned it, never challenged it, never talked about it. That's the irony, because Hindu lives do not matter, not even in India. So this is the background. So when came, privileges mean you won't get admission in a professional college, even if you're qualified enough, you have you are in the merit list. So many of us would leave place just because we could not get admission in professional colleges in Kashmir. They would go and start looking for admission outside. Similarly for the jobs. Then you do a trial. You do a trial of the assault. So in 1986, it was done in South Kashmir. This particular South Kashmir area belongs to Mufti Muhammad Sayyid, right? He was then the Pradesh Congress Committee president. In his political geography, this trial assault is conducted. Hindu houses are targeted, the orchards are targeted, the temples are targeted. Many were injured. But why is this trial done? To assess and to see the responses. India chose silence. Hindus chose silence in the rest of India. So that emboldened them. So the final assault was already in making. So it's not just that it happened in 1990. The preparations were being done in a systematic manner for a long period of time. As I said, genocide of Kashmiri Hindus began in the contemporary sense the day 370 was accorded to Jammu Kashmir state. So in the meanwhile,
Lalitji, just a small interruption. So in a sense, it is the Hindus' characteristic of being peaceful that has played against them.
No, it's not being peaceful. You can be peaceful, but you can also be assertive. You don't need to be. You don't need to be meek. We have been behaving as
when
meek.
When the government itself is against you.
No, because it was hidden. Nobody will try to see. Today something has happened in Calcutta, in West Bengal. Right. Yesterday something happened in West Bengal. You don't know who are the victims, right? We don't know who are the victims, but I know the kind of noise is happening there. So I don't want to comment on that. So this is why I say, this is why even it happened after West Bengal elections. Did you hear even BJP talking about the people who are being persecuted there just because they raised the slogan of Jai Shri Ram? They voted for BJP. I have talked about it on public platform. Challenge BJP. Challenge BJP, those 77 MLAs who got elected. I say, you're meek. Where are you? Why did you come onto the streets? Be with the people who voted for you. And those poor Hindus, they had to take refuge in faraway Assam. And thank the governor. He exhibited that kind of scholarship, that kind of endeavor that he went to meet that. He was the only one who was speaking about it when he was supposed to be not to be talking about it.
Yeah.
BJP chose silence. So the 77 MLA is it's not a small number. 38% vote share. Just because the mainstream media, including so-called right of the center media, decided that it was a decisive defeat for BJP, and BJP mindset that, oh, they are actually defeated, so they must be sulking, they must go undercover, and they must not speak about the people who voted for them. See, that's what is happening. But now, last century, the first massacre of the last century was Mopla massacre. And Besant had to rebuke Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi when he tried to say, justify that. He almost condoned the genocide of Hindus in Malabar. Again, 1946, when the Noakhali happened, right? There was, in fact, this, I'm connecting with the recent violence in West Bengal. You know what people are missing in Bengal? Gopal Patha. Gopal Patha is the one who showed the resistance against this Razakars of Muhammad Ali Jinnah there. And you know how they fought back?
Yeah.
You know the typical charpai, the 4 legs of charpai? They use those legs of the charpai as their weapons. Kitchen knives. Mahatma Gandhi, not Mahatma, I call him Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. He went there and wanted, after everything was done, he wanted people to surrender arms. So the Sohrawardi's brigade, Muslim League's guy, the head of who headed the Bengal Muslim League, they came and surrendered their weapons, full-fledged weaponry. And this Gopal Patha refused. He said, I'm not going to surrender these weapons. What were the weapons? The legs of a charpai, the kitchen knives, because these saved the dignity of my women, Bengali women. And these Bengalis, after that violence in recent Bengal, they were missing Gopal Patha. So that's what I say. Hindus have been made to believe that you are meek. You have to surrender yourself to your destiny. This is what Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi sought to say that. So even Kashmir also, out of all the places, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi saw a ray of hope in Kashmir, knowing when the whole of Pakistan occupied Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh was cleansed of Hindus and Sikhs, thousands of them. You know, the women from Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir were not abducted, they just picked up, transported to Peshawar and Rawalpindi and sold there in the markets for 2 rupees and 5 rupees and 10 rupees. There was never, ever any uproar in India because Hindu lives do not matter. So my perspective about Kashmir genocide is this: if you do not contain the growing, if you do not contain Kashmir jihad, you do not contain Islamism in Kashmir, you will have dozens of Kashmirs erupting in the rest of India. Everywhere. And you see the growing Islamism inspired vociferousness in Kerala, in your Karnataka, in West Bengal, almost everywhere. Again Karnataka. This was 2007, Glasgow airport bombing. Who was the protagonist? He was a guy born, Bangalore born, Kafil Ahmed, and a space engineer, aeronautics engineer. He went all the way to UK to study, purportedly to study space technology. And there he goes and blows himself up at Glasgow airport. And you know who was the target? What was the target? School-going kindergarten kids for an excursion. We never talked about in India. So you say, so I asked people, Islamists, did he go all the way to Glasgow to blow himself up to avenge RSS here in back home in India? Similarly, on the Christmas Eve of 2000, Birmingham-born Bilal Ahmed, he had never been to this part of the world, comes all the way to Srinagar, blows himself up on Christmas of 2000 in a Maruti car. We don't talk about it. So in this perspective, my stand on Kashmir Jihad is, if you do not acknowledge what Kashmiri Hindus have suffered is genocide, and you will face this genocide again and again and again. That's what we have been facing all these 1,000 years, despite, as I said, despite the glorious, valiant resistance war that were happening all these 1,000 years. Marathas, Sikhs, Rajputs, Ahom warriors, everywhere it was happening. So this film comes at a time when, you know, you talked about my background. I have been speaking about it for the last 32 years. As I said, we defied that aspect of genocide, which envisaged that, you know what, these few lakh people survive as a genocide because every killing, every murder, every mass murder was executed in such a horrible manner to inflict face psychosis in hundreds.
Yeah.
Therefore, they thought they will get lost in the crowd in rest of India.
Yeah.
They will get lost in the dhool and mitti of India, dust and dust of India. No, here we stand. We kept Kashmir issue alive. We kept talking about it, even when successive governments almost had written off Kashmir, even including at Agra under Vajpayee, because we have had always foreign influence on our Kashmir policy. Even Vajpayee government almost succumbed. Thank God that Agra summit failed. And then whatever was left, Manmohan Singh and Musharraf carried forward. They say even Manmohan Singh had prepared his Nobel Prize, Nobel ceremony speech, because that would have been the amount of compromise we are making on Kashmir. And if only they had gone ahead, it was a recipe for India's balkanization. Thank God it didn't happen. Even in Narendra Modi's regime till 2019, the North Bloc, South Bloc continued with the same policy. They prevailed over the polity at the helm of affairs in the nation. But 2019 changed the whole story. So we feel satisfied that the nation, we were alone 32 years ago, and we were in the footnotes. We talked about it. We became writers. Our literature in exile. I mean, engineers started writing. Those people who could not even speak good English, they started writing in English. Although we spoke reasonably good English there, we knew we had good knowledge of English, but we are not professional speakers. We're not politicians. We're not professional activists. So we learned the art of it because we wanted to reach out to the Indian nation through the secular ecosystem to use their language, right? So therefore, it was very important for us to stand. Today, I tell the producers, the makers of this film, wherever we could not reach in 32 years, your film has made inroads there. And audiovisual medium is very
a question
powerful.
here, Lalitji. A question here. Why is it for so many years Bollywood kept their eyes shut?
I tell you what, again I said, Hindu lives do not matter. These do not matter for Hindus, never mattered for Hindus, not for secular liberal people of India.
Yeah,
never.
Or were they covering up for a cabal and they didn't want the truth to come out?
There's something more to that. I have challenged every superstar in Mumbai. I have challenged every, in fact, I suffer a lot on this account because there was, I was doing a lot of modeling in Delhi.
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of modeling in Delhi, and I had reached a stage when should have moved to Mumbai, but circumstances did not permit me to do that. But nevertheless, I kept on doing works. I kept on doing these TV shows on Doordarshan. That time it was only Doordarshan, and I used to challenge the scripts. And one of my last TV shows, Doordarshan, out of all the works, it was Doordarshan, Nayo Faki Talash. I play the principal character in that. I asked the producer, you can't find one Hindu character because the story is Kashmir based. It was in Urdu. That irked. I said, show some teacher somewhere, show somebody nanny somewhere, show somebody. So why are you showing that Kashmir is cleansed off? It is cleansed off. There were no Kashmiri Hindus to be shown, but at least a fictional story could be built so that we know that we have some presence there, at least in art. So, and also I challenge how the workers, the what boy, the boys, sport boys, and all were being shortchanged. So you know what punishment I got? The 10-episode serial does not carry my name and credits. Who's playing the principal character of that show? And I went to the Doordarshan Prasar Bharati with a complaint, and that the head who was that, and then he tore it off in front of me. And I just controlled myself. I said, no, I'm not going to get angry with it because this is something very personal, and it's the first time I'm speaking about it in public. So it was a long hiatus. I just stopped, in fact, working off and on. I would get a chance, and I stopped. In fact, it was a long hiatus. I'm back again. We can talk about how my return was. So activism is not only limited to when you have a special program. The activism became part of us. Activism is part of my life. So since morning, as I said, I've been very busy for the past few days. It's almost like this. It's at the cost of your personal life, at the cost of your professional life, at the cost of your family life. But then that's what we did. Many of us, and I salute the endeavor of so many of amongst us who kept it alive. So I compliment. I even told them on a live show on television, I said, you are doing it, you have done it because we kept this flame alive. So I used to ask Mumbaikars, the filmmakers, why didn't you do anything in Kashmir? Why don't you even at least question? You go and shoot the pictures there, love songs still there, romantic songs still there, and you never question anybody. Why are cinema halls not operating in Kashmir? And Kashmir had a very lively film culture before the Kashmir Jihad became militarized. As I say, it was always there because it wasn't militarized. Friday first show, you would see the whole Kashmiri youth, including Muslim girls and boys. You would never see a hijab there those days. So the white dress of the women's college had a white uniform. So you would see the white sea flowing through the lanes and by lanes of Srinagar at the time of college. Even in the cinema halls, there you would see a few girls wearing hijab. They wanted to hide their identity from the neighbors or acquaintances. That was the only thing. Today, you don't have a cinema hall operation in Kashmir except one which is in the military area. Nobody questions them. And these guys go and make films there. Last film was Haida. One of the films was Haida, right? It was pictured as a song. It was desecration of Martin Temple. And they called it a shaitani, Satan's dance there. And nobody questioned that. So we questioned it. We keep on talking about it. That's why when this film comes and there is a curiosity, as I said, the Sanatan resurgence, Hindu resurgence is there. And it's irreversible. There are people who want to know more. There are now people who want to know. They feel, they know they have not been knowing about it. When I tell people, when those people, I call them the progenies of Baba, who questioned, who wanted to see Ram's birth certificate to accept that Ayodhya is the birthplace of Rama.
Yes.
Because the Indians have never been told that Babar, the barbarian, this name was given by Guru Nanak to Babar because Babar had jailed Guru Nanak, the holy Guru, the Guru of Gurus. Guru Nanak was jailed by Babar. Do you know about it? Do Indians know about it? Indians do not know about it. And in this Panipat First War, there was so much of destruction in Lahore. And Guru Nanak says, Lahore Shahar Kahar Sawa Pair. Lahore witnessed death and destruction in 1/4 of the day. You didn't teach your children. That's why they were not able to question. They started out, was Rama actually born there? Now that people are getting to know about it, everything is available. You speak about it, then they go and cross-check. Whenever I speak anywhere, I tell them, don't trust me. Check the facts through your own means, through social media or whatever. So this thirst to know your history I think is growing day by day. And that's the reason this film is being accepted. And that's what I say. I keep talking about it. If you do not acknowledge what India has on hand in Kashmir, you will have dozens of Kashmirs erupting in the rest of India. And you know what? When Pakistan was created, 90% of those Indians, right, who voted in 1946 provincial elections for Jinnah's two-nation theory for Pakistan, they didn't go to Pakistan. They stayed back. They are the progenies who announced then that ladke liya hai Pakistan, haske lenge Hindustan. And that's what you see, anti-CIA agitation in Shaheen Bagh, and then you see growing Islamic vociferousness in Karnataka and Kerala. So, the contribution of southern states for ISIS is from Kerala and Karnataka. Young boys and girls, educated boys and girls, right? So we have to be very, very careful in handling this situation.
In fact, Lalitji, see, the latest thing is that in Wikipedia, the editors are deleting the profiles of those who praised the Kashmiri files and had earlier vandalized the movie page. So many notable personalities, including Chaiti Darula and Tuhin Sina, have alleged that their Wikipedia pages were either vandalized or deleted after they had lavished praise on Vivek's Kashmir files. So you see in how many ways he is being attacked.
Yeah, I know. It has irked and irritated many. And you know, the other side of the question is being asked, why don't you show the other side? I believe the other side of genocide historically is denial and lies and propaganda. Imagine, they are so unabashedly defending their lies. They continue to defend without realizing, yes, it has happened. I haven't seen the movie because it's not, this movie is not for me. Because we Kashmiri Hindus, because there were some people were saying they were trying to be very caring and concerning for the survivors of genocide. Why are you trying to open their wounds? I tell them, I repeat here on your channel that we have not forgotten. We keep on nourishing our wounds with the memory, those gory memories of past. Every day, 24 hours a day, we keep remembering that. That is what keeps our resistance alive. And I have promised, this is the seventh, our genocidal exodus. Seventh happened right under India's secular watch, is going to be final. When we return back, it's going to be irreversible. So therefore, we have certain political demands, and we are wanting, number one, through you, I want to reach out to, again, it's the nth time I'm reaching out to our Prime Minister, my Prime Minister. My problem is that my Prime Minister, I have to criticize him also constructively, positively, and I am his supporter. Because I believe I need this kind of, it's after hundreds of years, you have a Sanatani soch, Sanatan civilizational mindset, thought process at the helm of affairs in Delhi. And we need, my nation, my country, my Bharata needs for the next 100 years. Therefore, we have been appealing him, please acknowledge as soon as possible what Kashmiri Hindus suffered, acknowledge formally that they suffered genocide. Then since India is one of the first signatories to UN Convention on Genocide, then you have to establish a tribunal as per the convention. Investigate not only those who were involved in rape, murder, and mass murder, also those who were at the helm in Srinagar and in Kashmir and in Delhi. In case of Mufti Muhammad Syed, posthumously, what was his role? Because only a few weeks ahead of this final assault in January, he released dreaded terrorists in exchange of his daughter.
Absolutely.
But he could not protect the Hindu lives in Kashmir. And this covered then Chief Minister Farooq Abdullah. He abdicated his responsibilities and fled, leaving Kashmiri Hindus at the mercy of those AK-47 wielding jihadists. And again, I repeat, it was not a riot. It was not a danga. It was like a war zone. You can imagine the jihadists holding AK-47 rifles with their religious inscription in their headband. They used to parade in the streets of Kashmir. It wasn't even lawlessness. They had taken over the Kashmir. The whole system was under their control. It's only through Jagmohan. I mean, the nation should be indebted to Jagmohan, who saved Kashmir for India then.
See, Lalitji, in Europe, when this happened, the Holocaust happened, there were so many movies that came out, documentaries that came out that revealed the truth. Why is it that our people could not, show any film till, of course, Kashmir Files came? And why were they, all hiding the truth? Okay, there are people who are with vested interests, but what about the people who are sincere, like you?
No, we tried our best to highlight. In fact, I say we did it for 32 years. We kept Kashmir alive for 32 years. Let me tell you, there is not a single auditorium in Delhi I have not been evicted physically. I have not been detained in police stations till the tenure of that the seminar or whatever it used to be. And you know what used to be the conversation there? It wasn't that India has to bend on Kashmir. The conversation used to be about how much India could be goaded to bend on Kashmir. It was taken for granted that India has to compromise in Kashmir. And who are the protagonists of these conversations? Indian left liberals and Pakistanis. Can you imagine? And these jihadists who deserve to be tried for crimes against humanity, they would be sitting on the dais discussing what India should be doing in Kashmir. That was it. Even in television stations, these people, for example, this Jihad commander, I don't want to highlight, I don't want to even call them names, call by name, because it's not about one jihadist. It's about the whole Islamist ecosystem that needs to be tried for crimes against humanity. There are many of them Pakistani stooges, and they are not Pakistanis. They are those who inflicted genocide in Kashmiri Hindus are not Pakistanis. They are local Kashmiris. You must have heard of that butcher of Kashmiri Hindus called Bita Karate. He's basically Farooq Ambardar. I want to be known by his Muslim name, by his Kashmiri Muslim name. He's Farooq Ambardar. He killed so many people. Other day I was on a channel and there was Manoj Raghuvanshi, the veteran journalist who had interviewed him. So where he confessed to having killed so many Kashmiri Pandits that he do not even remember how many he did. And he's not a psychopath. That's again this conversation we convey now that they are caught. Even before this film, those so-called sympathizers amongst the community, they would tell, oh, that Farooq Ambardar, he's a psychopath. Oh, he's not a psychopath.
They were just neighbors,
They
people
were,
living all around them.
no, there's something more to it. See,
Yeah.
I don't comment on faith. I don't comment on Islam as religion. I talk about political Islam, the politics of it, which is political Islam is Islamism. It's Wahhabi Sunni Islamism, basically. It is expansionist and it is terror infested. So I talk about it. So what happens when you become a jihadist? I'll give two examples. It's very interesting. You know it. I'm just trying to put it in the format. You remember 26/11, in Mumbai massacre, right? It was all live. 12 jihadists kept 1.3 billion Indians to ransom for 3 days.
Yeah.
So just 12 jihadists. And what was the level of radicalization? One of the jihadists, I think on the second day, he was appealing to his handlers in Karachi, which every Indian heard, globe heard it. He said, he was, Janab, aap Allah se dua karna ki meri shahadat kabul ho. Please pray to Allah that my sacrifice is accepted by Allah. This he wasn't even remotely at that time when he knew he was going to die. He would think of his life. He would at least think whether he should continue to kill people or surrender or something. No, he has to continue to kill because he thinks that's his religious duty. So he appeals, knowing how many people they have massacred in that one particular place where he was at least killing people on killing spree. He's telling, please pray to Allah that I'm received. This is received as a shahadat, so that he was waiting for 72 hoods to wait for him up there, and the canals, the channels of wines waiting for him up there. And those people, the handlers, they responded in a specific Islamic term, inshallah and subhanallah, whatever it is. Similarly, you heard of Burhan Wani, the poster boy of Kashmir Jihad? Yeah, my journalists, pseudo-secular journalists, the liberals, they called him, headmaster's son. Yes. Delhi-based journalist Harinder Baweja from Hindustan Times, very senior journalist. She went and had again a liberal journalist. She went and had a video interview of the headmaster father of Burhan Wani when Burhan Wani was still alive. She asked him whether he's anxious, he's worried that his son is going to get killed one day. This headmaster father says, no, I have dedicated him to Allah. When Burhan Wani was killed in encounter, the very journalist goes to very headmaster father and asks him whether he was mourning his son's death. He said, no, I had dedicated to him to Allah already. So the level of radicalization is what? That they derive spiritual ecstasy in killing and getting killed in the name of faith, in the name of Islam. So it's not my responsibility, it's not my business to intervene in somebody's faith, but I think these are live examples. This is not my making. The whole world knows about it. And these two things have been highlighted in Indian media, national media, about Burhan Wani and the 26/11 jihadists. So it's for the Muslims to introspect and see what's happening around the world. See, Syria, one of the oldest civilizations in the world. Yeah, it's dead, almost dead.
Yeah,
again, Wahhabi Sunni Islamism, because they can't tolerate the Shias there. Shia-Sunni war is the longest going war in the world, 1400 years old war. Yemen, again, Shia-Sunni war there. Afghanistan, who was fleeing Afghanistan when Taliban took over there, when Americans surrendered, abandoned Afghans to these jihadist Taliban recently, the Muslims were fleeing from Afghanistan. Because they know there was no other element there. The Muslims were fleeing Afghanistan because they knew they would not survive this regime. They're medievalists. After 10 years of Soviet involvement there, Soviet rule there, whatever you said, the Soviets were there for 10 years, Americans for 20 years, in between 30 years. 30 years of Western control over Afghanistan could not change the situation. Today they are backed by minus 30 years. The medievalists is back, and they want to resurrect medievalism in Afghanistan. 300 Hindus and Sikhs were left there. Can you imagine? They could not even tolerate them, gave them an ultimatum 3 months ago that either you convert or you leave this place. 2 months ago, one of those Haqqani, the very powerful Islamists, he tweeted, he was commemorating the death anniversary of this Muhammad Ghaznavi. They went to Ghazni and prayed at his mazar. And you know what he tweets? Today we paid obeisance at Mahmud Ghaznavi's mazar. He's the one who spread Islam, did so much in the name of in the service of Islam, and demolished idols in Gujarat. The temple I talked about.
Yeah. Akshardham.
Muhammad Ghaznavi.
Yeah.
The temple I talked about in the beginning, I've just lost the flow. So they remember there he destroyed the temple. This is Taliban reminding you 2 months ago. Yeah. So Kashmir, as I said, it is part of the global jihad, and they have eyes on Lal Killa in Delhi. Kashmir is a mere passage for them. So Indians did not realize it. Indians did not want to know about it because they were making at the same time, while Hindu genocide was being put under the wraps, they were also compromising on Kashmir. Yeah. And that had to be given, that could not have got so much of acceptance in rest of India if they had highlighted this genocide of Hindus. It was only left to me, left to Kashmiri Hindu to keep it alive, meet people, speak about it, write about it, wherever we couldn't. The national dailies did not take our 800 words articles, but there was a mercy. They would accept 150, 100 words of comments in their comments columns. That was it, and that's how we kept it alive. That's how we kept it alive, and that's why you have Kashmir. We take pride if India continues. Kashmir continues to be part of India, which I believe is the fountainhead of India's Sanatan civilization. Kashmir ke kankar mein shankar hai. Kashmir ke bindu bindu mein Ganga jal hai.
Yeah,
and that's the fact.
Yeah, which takes me to the next question.
Yeah.
Why has the media been silent about this for so many years? Were they all bought?
Not necessarily bought. I know there's a lot of money that has flown in through NGOs. There are those, I don't want to name them because your channel, to safeguard the interests of your channel, there are certain, big names who don't come in public, but through their various NGOs, they pump in money. It was, they had infiltrated our Kisan agitation. The innocent Kisans were taken for a ride. They were fully controlling Shaheen Bagh agitations.
Absolutely.
Right? And they are there, so they are very powerful. So they controlled, in a way, the Indian media, be it in print media, be it television media. And you had very few channels that time. And those you had, I said, we used to have Pakistani generals coming over to India, sit on Indian channels and tell us how to behave. They would remind us about Mahatma Gandhi's peace, right? Now, the things have changed. We sit on Indian channels, bear those generals and those guys of their Islamist tentacles now. They're afraid of us. We do that now. And that time, it was also, as I said, the very channels were discussing, for example, that Siachen should be it should be a place of peace, right? Thank God we survived that kind of pressures. Chidambaram, he said in the parliament, in the Congress's last tenure, he said, and he made a very important statement in the parliament. See, I'm an analyst, I'm a commentator. So we take these things very seriously because we try to understand what is between the lines. He said in the Parliament of India, Kashmir is a unique problem. It deserves and needs a unique solution. Chidambaram was preparing for that final compromise with Pakistanis. Yeah. And I tell you, if you read what they were going to sign on with Musharraf's 4-point formula, which Manmohan Singh, about which I said he had almost prepared it, the Pakistanis continued to say that was the last chance for India. Kasuri, their ex-foreign minister under Musharraf, he said during his last visit about a couple of years ago in Indian International Center, we cannot be holding jihadis in our territory for anymore. You still have time, compromise in Kashmir. Even during Narendra Modi's period. But they are not takers now. They are not takers now. But we have not heard denial from Congress party till date. Official denial that we were not doing anything that Pakistanis are claiming that India was about to sign on Kashmir. So media was playing that role. I tell you, they would hold discussion. For example, this Yasin Malik, for example, JKLF terror commander, he deserved to be hanged 32 years ago. He became a sahib on Indian television. He got a political makeover. This was only on Indian television channels.
Lalitji, see, I remember watching a video of him in a drunken state, pulling a woman who was dancing towards him, and the people had to pull him off. It's that cheap, that kind of a cheap
I'm not
person.
sure about that part of it, but I know he's a dreaded Islamist warlord, and he deserves nothing less than death penalty, because he and his ilk, they are responsible for founding it. So, as I said, we suffered persecution, but there wasn't any assault, physical assault on us. There wasn't any assault on our women. And generally, there was hardly any crime in Kashmir before the militarization of Kashmir Jihad. So these people, the cycle of death and destruction being played out in the streets of Kashmir is because of these people. Again, talking about the Kashmir, you had Lieutenant Fayaz, for example. Why should he be dying? He's a Muslim, no? Because he is, I call him, he's not even, I don't even consider him a Muslim. He's an Indian. He's a real Kashmiri. All these people who challenge Indian sovereignty in Kashmir, over Kashmir, challenge tricolor India, they are not Kashmiri, they are settlers. They are progenies of settlers who kept on either the settlers or the converts, the meek and the weak amongst Kashmiri Hindus. They became Muslims. So this will not end. This will not end till Government of India, which I said about tribunal. First, formal acknowledgement of what Kashmiri Hindus suffered, genocide, tribunal, then crime, establishment of crime, and then punishment, and then we need to go back. We have to go back. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm fighting for it. So we'll not be going back to those neighborhoods who close their doors or windows on Kashmiri Hindus when they're being hunted by these jihadis there. They closed their doors and windows, right? They just disowned. So they became collaborators through their voluntary silence, right? So we want to go back to Kashmir. We want that reorganization of Jammu Kashmir to continue, which Amit Shah said in the Parliament of India. This process of reorganization will continue. So we envisage Jammu, the Dogra land, they also need to be liberated from this Kashmir-centric, Kashmir origin Islamist polity, right? They are the brave people who opened their hearts for us. It's just 288 kilometers south of Srinagar. Your demographic border is shifted to after the genocidal eviction of the Kashmiri Hindus from Kashmir. So they opened their hearts for us. They opened their homes for us. And these Kashmiri jihadis, if you're familiar with the geography of Jammu Kashmir, Jammu is plains. It's more like Himachal, close to Himachal in terms of hills, and then in terms of culture to Himachal and Punjab. And Kashmir is entirely different across Punjab, right? So these people accepted us. We don't have language in common. The only thing that binds us is Indianness and Sanatan civilizational ethos. And these jihadis tried to spread their tentacles in the hilly areas of Jammu also. There were repeated massacres in Bhadrawah, Kishtwar, and other areas of Jammu. But Jammuites, the Dogras, they resisted these attempts, and that's why Jammu stands there. They need to be liberated from this Islamist polity of Kashmir. They have suffered enough discrimination from Srinagar-based, Kashmir-based, Kashmir origin, Kashmir-centric polity all these 70 years. And we want a union territory of Panun Kashmir in Kashmir, where the central government will be responsible for our security, political, economic empowerment. This is what, if it's India's security imperative. You have to reestablish and restore and resurrect your demographic border in Northwest. It doesn't exist there. You can't be holding us in camps the way they are holding those employees who are there under Prime Minister package. They are not returnees. The government making these often statements the way give them jobs. No, they are not jobs to return. They are the children of the survivors of genocide who need a job. They are poor. They need economic sustenance, and government does not do any favors by providing jobs to the survivors of genocide. They are quite qualified for those jobs. They are very minimally paid jobs. And if you know how the contractual conditions are at, is the violation of human rights and labor laws, but nobody talks about that. And also they have been employed in the very districts and towns of Kashmir from where their parents were hounded out 30 years ago. That's the irony of it. And some people try to take, including this sometimes the representatives of BJP on national television, so we provided them jobs. No, that's not return. That's compulsion. They're still living in camps there. We don't want to be living in pens, guarded pens in Kashmir. We want to live as you live in your place. I want to be living and celebrating independence in Kashmir under freedom. So that's why we need a proper union territory in Kashmir where we can resurrect our ourselves.
Now, this recent day back or today, a lot of investors have come in from the Gulf, to Kashmir. Do you see that as a good move?
See, it's very interesting. There's also simultaneously OIC, Organization Islamic Cooperation Summit happening in Pakistan. There, Imran Khan is shouting, inciting, trying to provoke Muslims of rest of the world because his kursi is under threat. He may not be there, the prime minister, by next week.
When he returns, he's gone.
Yeah. So these people, he says, you are compromising on Kashmir, you are Muslim Ummah. The Muslim Ummah is compromising on Kashmir as well as Palestinians. The Muslim nations, UAE, Saudi Arabia, they are making, they are holding the hand of Israelis today because the wars cannot continue in the modern globalized world. I see a lot of hope in, for example, Prince Salman of Saudi Arabia. He is trying to, as I said, it's a job of the Muslims to understand what they have, what ails the faith. So they are trying to change the system. UAE is trying to do the same thing, I think. And when he was trying to provoke Muslims that you are compromised, you abandoned the Muslims of Kashmir, this delegation from UAE is in Kashmir exploring investment possibilities. See, I have two things to mention about that. There are two things about removal of Article 370 and 35A does not confront Kashmir Jihad. Kashmir Jihad is a military problem. It has to be confronted. It has to be tackled the way jihad problems are tackled globally. It's a military problem, and I see in a long run, our strategic interests have to be to liberate Pakistan occupied Jammu Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan, and then you can claim that you are free from this jihad for next 100 years till you have reforms within Islam. But what 370 does it's just a beginning of dismantling of that Islamo-fascistic ecosystem that had been flourishing in Kashmir because of this rigorous constitutional arrangements called 370 and 35A. It's a long disease. It will take time. So you cannot hold Kashmir under, you cannot hold it under continued security grid. We have a very strict security grid in place in Kashmir. That's why the jihad activities have been contained, but it has evolved into a hybrid war. So what they do, it's targeted killings. Only 3 months ago, they killed about a dozen majority of the Hindus, and you had thousands fleeing the place, which wasn't reported in Indian press. Thousands of them fled Kashmir, including Muslims, workers from, say, Bihar and UP were working. Pardon me?
When was this?
2 months ago. A Kashmiri Pandit who was living there, but Mr. Bindru, he was running their pharmaceutical business there, and they didn't even spare him. They went to a school and segregated Muslims from Hindus and Sikhs, and that Sikh principal and a Hindu teacher were segregated, they're isolated and killed in cold blood. And this is hybrid war. This is hybrid war, and we have to be very, very careful about it. They're so frustrated. And as I said, jihad, global jihad is a huge investment in Kashmir, and it's not going to die away so far. So therefore, you have to that this investment, because foreigners do not do it twice. They don't burn their figures twice. God forbid, if you have an investment and some mishap happens, so you'll have to cut a sorry figure. So either you have to ensure that the security.
Here, there may be a problem because a lot of the Pakistanis are working in Gulf. So they can also play a double game. The Arabs can play a double game as well.
In a way,
in the sense that,
control Pakistanis.
In Kashmir, yes, they can take it out.
I understand that. You see, Narendra Modi, as I said, he is the Chanakya mind, right?
Yeah.
His foreign policy is excellent. How is balancing between Americans in Russia? How is he balancing Quad? Now everybody's saying it's fine. You continue your interest with Russia, right? And Russia is our long-tested friend. We cannot abandon that, and they don't want equipment from you. They don't want anything from it. They want only moral support, which we have extended. We are not for war. We want the war to stop, but at the same time, we cannot abandon Russia. That's the only friend we can claim in this
And
world. We
Ukraine
have
cannot
true friends.
sort of
Yes.
blackmail us into supporting
Exactly.
them.
So Narendra Modi is balancing that situation also very well.
Yeah.
So even in terms of Muslim countries, he's very popular among the Middle East countries. So I'm sure this may be one of the ways, as you rightly pointed out, to control Pakistan. So don't you? Do you still depend on arms coming from ALMs, from the Gulf countries? So you better control your jihadists. But then, as I said, jihad was very difficult to control. Erdogan allowed ISIS cadre. You know how ISIS were built in the Middle East? They were given a free passage by Erdogan, right? And they were allowed to smuggle out oil and sell in the black market outside by very Erdogan of Turkey. And then he only had to go and bombard those areas, ISIS, because it's a very difficult thing to control. As I said, they don't. There's no fear of death. They derive spiritual ecstasy, and then they will continue because they think they are doing a religious duty. So in Kashmir also, I know it is a problem. It's under control, but I am sure our government is thinking about on the same lines. They may create a special economic zone there, provide with security. Why not? Why can't we do that? We can provide the space. Not the investment will not be in random corner of Srinagar or Kashmir, in any other part of Kashmir. It may be a security zone, economic zone.
Yeah.
Put up a small this airport also there. They come in there and go out of that place. I think we can manage to do that. So investment is good. It makes sense. But as I said, Islamism is to be contained. You cannot crush it until there are reforms within Islam. So till that happens, we have to be very, very cautious in not only in Kashmir, in rest of India. As I said, mentioned earlier, the vociferousness is growing in rest of India. In Kashmir, particularly, we have to be very, very careful. See the reaction to this film.
Yeah.
Across India, there is this denial, and there are mocking on the genocide of Kashmiri Hindus.
Yeah.
And I only hope and pray through you. I want to reach out to Hindus, the right wing Hindus. You don't have to get provoked. Yeah. This is my nation. This is your nation. You assert yourself here. You don't have to be begging for space here. You assert yourself. Be peaceful. You don't have to tell anybody. Let them, if they want to stay here, because they had a choice. They created Pakistan for them. Those who decided to stay back, they have to stay back in Congress with the Sanatan civilization ethos. That's the only condition they have. So you have to assert yourself. You don't have to be physical about it. You don't have to be provocative about it. Right? So if you're sympathizing with Kashmiris, you're sympathizing with your own self. You're sympathizing with Kashmiri Hindus. This genocide can happen anywhere in India. That's what we're trying to show. So assert yourself. Show that you're not meek anymore. Make yourself heard. When CIA was happening, I used to do videos. I would plead people. Narendra Modi is not going to come out to speak about it. What about you? Why don't you assemble in your Chopal, in your Tehsil, in your Panchayat, 10 of you, 15 of you, make a small video, send it to on social media. Let the nation, let these guys know, let Shaheen Bagh know there is a counter Shaheen Bagh happening in the rest of India. You are keeping quiet, and that's why those riots happened in Delhi. And we have to pay a very heavy price for those riots. Yeah. So speak yourself, use your democratic democracy, all constitutional means available to you. Like I say, they say, you should be healing the wounds. Why are you trying to gap? I said, don't tell me to reconcile with what Kashmiri Hindus have suffered. My people have died in exile, in a desire to be cremated in their traditional crematoriums and Shimshan Ghats in Kashmir. So every drop of blood, I repeat, every drop of blood that we have shed in Kashmir, every tear that we have shed in exile, we're going to avenge that using all democratic and constitutional means available to us. Period. I'm not going to compromise with anybody. I'm not going to let go anybody. Jews were not asked to compromise and reconcile with the Nazis. Why are you telling us to do it? And in Germany, if today you deny genocide, Holocaust, the guys are supposed to be, it's a criminal offense. Denial of Holocaust is a criminal offense. So denial of genocide has to be a criminal offense in India also.
Also, Lalitji, just one last question before, we wind up. You acted in Tandav, which was a very anti-Hindu movie. And I believe that you also did not know the script. You all were not told the complete script, and that's how, later you found out that it was anti-Hindu. So could you just tell us that experience to our viewers?
See, as I said, I had almost given up because my activism, my profession, barely I'm able to attend to that. So I didn't have time, and I suffered because of that one serial. It was a bit of setback because they did not give me credit. For an artist, it's a big jolt if you're deprived of your credits.
Yeah.
Even if you lose money,
It's like
that's not an issue.
it's
But
like
if
a
you lose
journalist
credits,
byline.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, that exactly.
Yeah.
So there was a long hiatus. Then I started coming back again. Last my that was TV commercial was for Mahindra autos. In meanwhile, I did it. Then I got this offer from. I was auditioned. I was selected for it. So it was a kind of a interesting part, small part, 4 or 5 days shoot, and we did it. They established a doctor. It was a very well established character, but then it didn't pass the editor's table. So it was a 4 or 5 day shoot. I was supposed to have my wife there, my child there. They established my character as a doctor there. They wanted to show a debauched doctor who is vulnerable to doing anything dicey, right? That was the kind of character I was playing. So I did it, and you know it. What happens in the film industry? They don't share script with everybody, every character. I was given that 5 part, 5 pages for 5, 6, 7 pages, and that was all. I didn't know about it. It was a big banner. It was a big banner. I was that was one of the reasons I went for it. Then third was I wasn't. My part was without the curse words there. I'm not very comfortable using F words and all that, so I'm not going to do that. So I found, well, I can do intimate scenes. Let me try that. But I'm not going to be using the foul language, which my people tell me, no, you need to learn it. You need to do that because every OTT presentation
Louds
has
that.
it in it. So platform has it. So I did this part. Then when it was released, I have not even seen it. By the way, I don't say I have never seen my own more serials like that, with TV shows. So I became the target. So I used to have for days. I used to have cameras in my room there, in my lobby, and they would you. I was the only one targeted because they found a character in Delhi. I happened to be media happens to know me. They somehow found me there, and Lalit Ambardar was a target. So I kept on telling them, if only I had known about it, because not because I'm acting in that serial, any other this film, any other anybody in that position, my stand is known, and I would have criticized it. I cannot compromise on my Sanatan civilization, not on Shiva. I cannot do that. I cannot compromise on the kind of shows you saw in JNU. There was something of that also. Azadi and all that kind of stuff was also there. Mocking Shiva in one of their on the stage somewhere. I couldn't have done that. So before this thing happened, I was signed up for Tandav 2. By the way, let me make it public today. Let people know about it. I was signed up for Tandav 2, and I'm sure they have never called. They wanted to shoot in February. By the way, that is before this became a scandal, and before people got to know, there was so much of noise about it, uproar, and rightly so, because they cannot take your faith for granted. My Shiva is not meant to be mocked at. No, not at all, not at all. So I took that. No, I knew it. So I have been auditioned. There were some roles were almost matured, but I think because of the lockdown, those may mature. But on that Tandav, that is my case. I didn't know about it. You know, they don't share the whole script because there were some people who from right wing sides. How did you do it? आपको तो हम ऐसा समझते हैं, ऐसा समझते हैं. मैंने कहा, boss, ask any filmmaker or anybody who's in the film industry. They don't give you the whole script to every actor, right? So it's only my part, I've done my job, and I have not compromised on my my part in it. Yes, they wanted to show a debauched doctor. The debauchery I played very well in that.
So just one last question from Ruchi. She says, where do you see Kashmiris or Kashmir 10 years down the line, sir?
Oh, I'll be back. Kashmiri Hindus will be back in their homeland. Kashmiri Hindus, the Aborigine Kashmiris, by the way. My calendar after this Hindu calendar of 14 days, after Chaitra Shukla Pratipadam, it will be 5098, right? So we have a history, recorded history. So we'll be back in Kashmir, resurrecting our civilizational Hindus, wearing our flag, Indianness on our chest, and celebrating Indianness the way rest Indians do in the rest of India.
And
That's
we
my
will
Panam
holiday with
Kashmir
you.
Union Territory.
And we will come and holiday with you.
Pakka, you could be my neighbor there. Please, you'll be welcome there. It is going to be, we want unconditional free flow of Indian constitution in Kashmir without any ifs and buts. In that Panam Kashmir Union Territory, Islamists can live separately. If government of India wants to hold them, retain them, let them do that. But we want our share. We want our vote. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lalit. That is a brilliant, brilliant talk by you. And I mean, everybody is saying that, see, since I didn't interrupt you, I mean, you were given enough space to express all your thoughts, which is something that a lot of the people have not heard, you know. And so they're all grateful to you for this wonderful talk.
Thank
And
you
we'll
very
meet again. Thank you so much.
And the temple I was talking about, the Haqqani, is Somnath.
Somnath.
Somnath was vandalized by this guy, Muhammad Ghaznavi, and he was remembering it, reminding Indians. And can you imagine Indian Islamists?
Yeah.
They welcome them. They say they are freedom fighters, including Farooq Abdullah and Mahbub Mufti and other Muslim so-called leaders of Muslim community in India. Shameless people. They say now you should apply good Sharia there. And nobody commented on that tweet of this Haqqani that he was recalling those 1,000-year-old episode in Somnath. Anyway, thank you very much. My privilege.
And good night.
Thank you. Good night. God bless.